before we even start this, before we even start this, I wanna say something. Look at the picture quality. Look at the picture quality. Understand what it is you seeing. You see this clarity. This it ain't easy being cheesy out here, man. I feel like Chester Cheeto out this joint. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. These colors, the separation, the feel, the depth. Like you seeing a lot right now, and I don't even know if you could understand. I don't know if you could understand right now. Let me see. I might not be able to get this. This been inactive for a little while. I was trying to do both of them. Hold on. Let me see if I can. There it go. Hold on. Alright, let me start recording right there. That's in rec mode. So I got two different angles I'm gonna go from. Now, first of all, I wanna say, look at the picture quality. Look, look, look. And it's the day after Thanksgiving. I don't know if y'all remember, but this is my favorite holiday, Halloween. And the reason I say that is because I used to love trick-or-treating, because it seemed like everybody got exactly what they wanted. You get exactly what you want, trick-or-treat. Like, you ain't expecting nothing but some candy, and you get to go out and participate in getting that candy. So, man, it wasn't nothing better. It was nothing better. And I just wanted to point that out. And I don't know if you can I done stole my daughter candy dish and using it as a prop right now. Man, she just got her own place, but that's neither here nor there. Stepping it up, give a shout out to her. Look at that. Can you see? It might fly right over, but man, there's a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of studying, a lot of experimenting, all went into getting this picture this clear. And you know, I don't do no post. Well, I don't do too much post. I do basic posts. I got DaVinci Resolve, but you know, I ain't at the level of editing where I could just get in there and work my magic. I ain't that good. That's something you got to work on. So what I be doing is trying to get everything right beforehand, getting lighting beforehand, everything pre-production, pre-post production. That's what I'm giving y'all. And I just wanted to comment on that because I spent all day yesterday and all day today getting this together. I wanted to drop. I tried to drop yesterday, but I had my soundboard, it won't right. I had to put the input in, so now you're getting the sound. You know, all that's an issue. The lighting is an issue. Your camera is an issue. The sound is an issue. Even uploading and getting good quality is an issue. It's so much you gotta do, man. It's a journey. And as you can see, I'm like Magic Johnson with this joint, man. I'm making it happen. Abracadabra, abracadabra. So, you know, I just wanted to say something about that. And I was just going to rehash what I was talking about yesterday. I wanted to talk about my key fob situation. Ooh wee, it took me for a loop-de-loop. I went to the park. I think this was last Friday. I went to the park, Newport News Park up here by Fort Eustis. And my idea was to shoot some content, but you know, things kind of, you know, when I got on the park grounds, where I usually would park to get to the pier, you know, it was blocked off, and you had to probably like maybe 2-3 foot, about 2-3 football fields away from the park where I wanted to do some content. So I thought about going to this like this playground right there. I just needed somewhere to set up shop. You know, being that I was in the park, that was my main motivation. Get to the park and show people some of the places where I have spent time or I do spend time in my life that I like. You know, I wanted to take people. There's a lot of parks, a lot of interesting places to go in this Newport News, Hampton, Williamsburg area. Always saluted up, you know. is, to me, one of the best places you go to kind of see different things. Might not be the club or the party atmosphere or the century, but nature is out here, and it make me feel grounded and connected. So that was my mission. That was my goal. Anyway, I bypassed going to the little playground park where I could just sit up, and I go to the pier. Soon as I get to the pier, I'm like, this joint look a little bit too open for me. Look a little. I got nervous instantly, and I was like, man, I should just. And I said, you know what? I ain't got much. I had the smallest setup possible. I had the smallest setup possible. My setup, it was just a small camera bag, my tripod, and I wasn't even going to use some lights, so I left it. So all I had was my tripod and a little camera bag. But I said, man, I can't drop this, so I put it in the middle on the ground because I said I got to be careful. I went in my pocket to grab my phone, and my key was still on my finger or in my hand. When I came up out my pocket, the key flew. Key fob. It flew. It was a single key fob, nothing on it. Flew up in the air, dropped in the water. I could see it swimming to the bottom. And I was like, ooh, it hurt. And if you know anything about key fobs, if you ever replace one, that ain't no cheap fix. You know, you looking at $350. If you're trying to get a pair, you looking at about $700. So I was like, I said, man, I gotta get that. I thought I seen some at the bottom of the lake floor. Cause where I was at, I was thinking like it can't be that deep. I'm thinking 4 feet maybe. So I'm thinking I see it. So, I said, man, you know what? I don't want to drop nothing else. Skip this content. Let me put this stuff in the car. So I put the stuff in the car, and I go over to like the attendance section. I think they got snakes or something in there, and I was asking if they had like a pole or a hook or a net or something that, I just dropped my key fob in the water, and man, I can't even get home. I'm stuck. I can't start my car up. So they was like, oh yeah, we got some. So they showed me a net, and I said that might work. That might work. I might be able to lay down on a pier and fish it out. I'm like, you know what? I think we got some. We got this snake hook. It's long with a extendo on it. And I said, ooh, that's perfect. So I'm out there. I'm trying to. First, we just try to hook it with the hook. I said, oh, I know that ain't going. I can't even. I don't, like, you can see, but not. It won't the clearest of clear water. And all the while this is going on, it's plenty snapping turtles in this water, and I can see them floating around. I can see small fish, like they floating around what seems shiny because it looks alluring to them. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, man, I know we can't get it with the hook. So I said, let's attach the net to it. We couldn't. So I said, maybe we could put some tape. So when I dug around, the silt at the bottom, like the sand, the dirt is dark at the bottom, and when you move it, it clouds up it clouded up that whole area. I couldn't even see. So I couldn't even continue to investigate or try to get to the key fob because I couldn't see. So while she was getting the duct tape so she could tape up the net to the hook so I could have an extension and I could grab it and kind of scoop it, I was just waiting for that stuff to settle down and it to clear back out, but it took almost an hour. So I thought I seen it again. I said, there it go, it moved a little bit. She said, oh, yep, that's it. So I get in and I try to rake across and scoop, and I pull something up, and it's so much silt and like sand, mud, dirt, whatever that is inside the net that it causes the hook to snap. It snapped, it bent. And I had to grab that part and bring it up. And what I brought up, it wasn't a key fob at all. It was some sort of grabbing contraction that had broke. Somebody else had dropped something in there. And I guess they was trying to fish it out, and they broke theirs. And that's what I scooped up. And I waited for the silt to settle. And then when it settled, I could see the turtles moving around. Big turtles too. This won't no small turtles. These turtles was, I say about 1.5 feet long, if not bigger, because they look smaller in the water. I'm seeing it and I'm like, man, I can't get it, but I can't get home. And I'm like, man, y'all got a magnet or something? It's like, we got one, but we can't find it. So I was like, oh, you think y'all can run me to the store? I could get one and come back so I can get in my car. It's like, oh no, we can't do that. So I'm just sitting out there just thinking, what can I do? What can I do? So I was like, man, I thought about it for a split second, man, I should just jump in this water. But somebody came by, was like, man, what happened? And I was like, man, my key fob. And he was like, what? What kind of car you got? I said, XTS. And he said, ooh, two of them jumps cost me like 700 and some change. And I said, I know. He said, make you almost want to jump in that jump, but don't do it. Them snapping turtles will tear you up down there. So I was like, yeah, you might be right. So some other guys came out. I talked for a little while, and I was like, man, I gotta walk home. Now, from where I was at, I think it's about 4 miles, about a 4-mile walk, if not longer. You know, so what I said, you know, I don't want to waste the whole day, so I got a shooting grip, a Sony shooting grip. In my camera, I had it, hooked up to a rig, and I said, I'm gonna do content. So I think I put that up while I was walking, getting home. I didn't think that walk was gonna be that perky, but woo, it had me percolating. I was percolating. I was starting to sweat. My ankle was getting tight. I was like, yeah. Time I got home, I was breathing heavy. I said, this is it. I ain't even get all the way home with the content. I turned the camera down because it was wearing on my shoulder, and I was holding it with 2 hands. I said, man, forget this. I shut it down halfway. Walked the rest. I ain't want to shut it down, but I went ahead, grabbed my key fob. I said, before I sit down and do anything, let me get back to it. Went back, started key up, come on home. Now I got to figure out how to get the key fob. I don't want to. So I said, man, you know what? I'm going to try this Amazon way. I ordered me a key fob. Next day to jump. Get the key fob. Try to program it. DIY, do it yourself. Couldn't. It was doing some sort of lockout mechanism where the display won't even showing the prompts no more. So I was like, oh man, this is crazy. So I tried to program it to no avail. I said, you know what? Let me do it one step at a time. I'm going to get the key cut. I try to get the key cut while I work. They said, no sirree, no can do. That ain't what we do here. And I said, what can I take it? They said, coffee. And y'all know what coffee. I said, you know what? I head down to coffee. That's like a 25-minute, 30-minute drive from where I was at. So, boom, shoot down to coffee. Ask them to cut the jump. I call them first, see if they could do it. Yeah, we could do it. Get them to cut the key. You know, the people, man, I want to give a shout out to Coffee Lock Inc. Incorporated, right there off of Ward and Center Ave. Right there, that shopping center. As soon as you go across Ward, is a shopping center. They the last one. Coffee Lock Inc. Man, they treated me like family in there. I walked out there feeling like, they cared. That they cared about what they do in their interaction with the people who spending money with them. And I felt appreciated when I went in there. So I want to give a shout out to Coffee Lock Incorporated, Coffee Lock Inc. Right there on Ward Boulevard. Right soon as you get out of Center Ave, right on the other side of Ward is a shopping plaza right across from the 7-Eleven. Coffee Lock Inc. So they cut the key. We tried to program it to no avail. So I kept unhooking the terminal to try to reset everything. But the owner had told the guy that was helping me, I guess he said something about hold the start button. So when I looked it up, I ain't see none of that. So they had that information because I guess they've been through it before. So he did that. The car started. So now I ain't got to take the post off no more. So from there, I went to Subtle. Asked them, what's up? What is going to cost me? They said, well, the key fob going to be 100 and something. Well, the program is going to be 100 and something. The key fob too, so you don't want to do these little cheap ones. I said, man, I'm trying to program this one. I bought this one for $20-something. I got the key cut already for $45. I'm $70 in. What you talking about? Oh, that don't work. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. You got to get a new one. And trying to upsell me. It's my guy. I appreciate Subtle, but at the time, that wasn't what I was trying to hear. So I said, man, I just, I guess I'm gonna just do it the regular way. I'm gonna get it, but I can't get it right now, and I just got to be careful and nervous with this single key, because if I lose this, I got to get my car towed and everything. So I was like, I gotta get it done. So I said, man, I ain't want to mix my key up with this new key fob, so I just left it in the center console as a little compartment that you put the key in when you can't get in and the car won't start the program or whatever. You put it in that little compartment. So I put it in there overnight and got in. It was this Monday morning, went to work, and everything was the same. It's the same. I get to work and I get out the car with my bag and I'm ready to go get in the truck. And when I close the door, I hear something like dun dun dun. That's the sound that it makes when the key is still in the car, but I got my key on me, the key fob on me. And I was like, what? This car acting up, man. I'm tired of this car. So it hit me, boom, the key fob is inside the center console. So I took it out, I started pressing buttons, it's unlocking and locking the door. Some magic. Hocus pocus, it was magic. It's so close to Halloween, boom, right up on you. It was magic. I don't know how it worked. I'm spiritual. So whatever happened, man, it happened and I appreciated it. And yay. That's all I'm gonna say is yay. That worked itself out. So another thing, I want to give a shout out to Harris Teeter, man. I think you get good value in Harris Teeter, man. I went in there the other day when I was on my vacation, my days off, and I was eating at Harris Teeter and Kroger at lunch because they having lunch specials and it was so affordable. I'm getting the whole foot long. I'm getting everything the way I want it, just like Subway, and it's costing me half the price of Subway, and the sandwich is bigger. And I'm like, oh my stars. Then I'm gonna give a shout out to Hibachi Express because I feel like I'm getting value. So I just wanted to give a shout out to some of these places that's really giving value. Everybody don't look at you and value your dollar. They don't value your business. Customer service. The customer's always right. That's a thing of a past. They looking at you like they doing you a favor, and it's like, sometimes I feel underappreciated and I just don't return. So when somebody does, or I go somewhere and it is good customer service, I do feel good, I return and I give a shout out and I try to encourage other people to go there, because if I value it, it might be valuable to the next man. So I'm going to give a shout out to them. And I want to say one more thing. I was talking to this dude, I was on my route, and I say what's up to people, like when they hold the door for me or whatever and pass and they looking at me or whatever, or we close quarters, I be like, how you doing? So usually I respond when they say how you doing, I say excelente, try to perk myself up, and so I ain't even get to lay that down. I said, man, how you doing, man? He was like, I'm strong. And I was like, ooh, powerful piece. Because as a man, strength is everything. Even if you ain't got no paper, mental strength, physical strength, strength. That's the core of a man. That's your virility. Like, the essence of you reproducing is your virility, your strength, your essence. So when he said that, it stuck to me. So I've been trying to incorporate it when people ask how I'm doing. I'm strong. I'm strong. And, I ain't going to hold y'all too much longer. I just wanted to get something in. Look at this setup. Y'all see the lights. Let's get to it. And it's King Sam. So I'm going to shut it down right now, man. Y'all know what it is, man. I can't keep doing this to y'all. I can't keep giving y'all all this good content. Y'all better tap in, man. And I'm going to give a shout out to C. Terrell Scott. I'm going to give a shout out to Mario Button. I'm going to give a shout out to Eric Davis. Who else I'm going to give a shout out? Hibachi Express. I'm going to give a shout out to Coffee Lock Incorporated. Who else I'm going to give a shout out to? Jamal Stanton. And there's a few people that I'm going to be tapping in with and keep it going. But I'm about to be out of here, y'all. Hit that off. And knock that off.